Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I am Jason Monroe. This is episode 155. Your body tracks calories, even if you don't. I wrote that down this week when I was doing somebody's check-in. There's a phrase that I use a lot with clients. I'm going to give you a great example, right? This phrase that I use, and I think one of the great things is because of the way that I do things, because we have fortnightly check-ins, because 2 weeks is an awesome period to see progress over, I can say this, right? Because if your weight's not come down after 2 weeks, there's a chance that something's going wrong. If it's not come down after 3 weeks, there's definitely something not going right. But 2 weeks, I've said this before, but in an absolutely ideal world, I'd have people checking in every 3 weeks. But that's far too long to leave people to their own devices. 3 weeks is the sweet spot for me. Because the scale, if you're doing everything right, the scales will have come down. Sometimes I'll check in with someone after 2 weeks and they're the same weight they were 2 weeks ago. And then the next day after the check-in, they get a big 2 pound drop because that's just the way that things work sometimes. I thought I heard squirrels fighting. It's actually a tree that's blown over into another tree and it's rubbing against it in the wind. So, something I say to clients a lot is your body is the most accurate food diary you will ever keep. And this is just another version of that. Your body tracks calories, even if you don't. I did a check-in with a client. I've done 2 check-ins with a client over a 2-week period. Now, the important thing I want you to remember here, okay, that if you are someone who has a lot of weight to lose, right? If you have 4, 5, 6 plus stone to lose, one of the fundamental things that you have to understand before you even think about losing weight is that you are someone that consumes on a grand scale. I'm not saying that to be mean. It's just a factual statement. And because you have been that weight for a while, because you have approached food and or drinks this way for a while, it's something that you need to be made aware of. That sounds stupid. That's not what you need to be aware of, right? What I'm going to tell you is what you need to be aware of. I'm sure you're very aware that you eat more than what you should. Otherwise, your weight wouldn't be where it is. The point I want to make is, you are used to consuming on a grand scale to the point where it has now become your norm. If you have 6 stone to lose, you've not gained that by eating a couple of extra biscuits or sneaking a little thing here and there. You wake up in the morning, you make a cup of tea, and you're eating 2 or 3 biscuits. Then you have a breakfast, quite a large breakfast, and you probably cleared the plate. And then you jump in the car to go to work and you've got something in the door of the car and you eat a few sweets. Then you stop at the Costa drive-thru and you order a coffee and a cake or a pastry and you eat that on the way to work. Then you sit at your desk with your coffee, get 2 hours into ploughing through your emails, and then you go to the staff room and somebody's left celebrations on the table. So this is the kind of, just a rough example, right? It's not that you're overeating and, it's not that breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're eating like a double the size and absolutely stuffing yourself. It's almost always a kind of constant stream of calories, some big, some small, but it's too much, right? It's too frequent. You might be one of these people who does not overeat, but overconsumes. I had this with a client yesterday at a check-in. She said, I can't believe how much fat I had in my diet. She's like, I honestly thought I didn't eat very much. And I always struggled to understand how my weight could be where it is and how I struggled to lose weight. And what she didn't realise until she started tracking and I pointed it out and showed her that she was eating 1,200 calories a day just from the dietary fat. She was having 120, 130 grams of fat in a single day on top of everything else. And I said, people gain weight. Some people gain weight by overeating. They can feel that they're physically full. They never experience hunger. Some people gain weight through overconsumption, which is you feel like you're not overeating, but what you are eating is very high in calories. It's very calorie dense. You know, you might have what looks like a normal portion of food, but it's got lots of cheese or lots of oil or lots of butter or whatever. It's, you know, a greasy sauce. Maybe you eat a lot of curries and you cook them from scratch and you use a lot of ghee and all these kind of things can create super high calorie meals that you just don't realize. I recorded an episode about Joe Wicks last week and I gave up on it because I hate jumping on trends, to be honest. You know, everybody's like, oh, we need to talk about this. And I've just watched the Joe Wicks documentary. Honestly, I really tried to get involved in it. I just don't care. Celebrity puts himself on TV and says what he's told to say by someone who's supposed to know what they're talking about. It's just the same shit that we always get. Remember, these things are entertainment. People want to watch entertainment. That's why they dramatise it and make it sound... Anyway, I'm not talking about him. But the point was, I said that, you know, if I remember back to when I had a Joe Wicks recipe book, and there was a recipe in there, and I'm sure it was a chicken and chorizo risotto or chicken and chorizo rice. And I remember in 2018 posting about it, because I used to have lots of people come into the Monroe Method in 2018 who were 90-day SSS graduates who had just finished it and were piling weight on because they all said the same thing. The food was great, the meals were great, the recipes were great, but the exercise was unsustainable. I managed it for 90 days. I can't keep that going for the rest of my life. But the problem is, they've now spent 90 days changing the way they eat, writing meal plans, writing recipes from this book. That's what they've been used to eating, and it's how they continued eating. Only the recipes in that book are meant to be for people who are killing themselves with exercise. And there was one recipe in there, chicken and chorizo, something, risotto, I'm sure it had rice in it. And when you put all the stuff into MyFitnessPal, it was 2,600 calories for two people. 1,300 calories a portion for dinner, just for dinner. Bear in mind, the majority of women I work with are burning between 1,800 to 2,200 calories a day. Imagine getting 1,300 calories from your dinner, being someone burning 1,800 calories, and your breakfast, lunch, snacks, something at night in front of the TV, you've only got 500 calories left for it. So people were piling weight back on straight after doing the body coach stuff. And that's just one example. That's a home-cooked meal, by the way, at 1,300 calories. Never mind a takeaway or a Domino's pizza or anything like that. Right, back to where we were. So, the thing that you have to be aware of is that you have a series of habits that you will both be aware of and unaware of, that you will realise and don't realise the impact, that have taken your weight to where it is. You know, if you are 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 stone, you have to understand that you're not just going to get given calorie numbers and you're going to follow them and that's it. You have to understand that you're going to have to learn how to scale back your eating. This is why I do this important work in the very beginning of a trial, right? Day 2, what are your food attachments? I want you to write down every instance where you eat from the start of the day to the end of the day. I don't look at it. It's for the person to realise. It's for them to learn about and understand. Well, when I wake up in the morning, I go into the cupboard and I eat 2 chocolate mini rolls. Then I put on the kettle. While I'm waiting on the kettle to boil, I go into the cupboard where the tea and coffee is, and there's also glass jars with biscuits there, so I'll have a few custard creams. And then I'll take another 2 custard creams to have with my cup of tea. Then I'll pour myself a bowl of cereal, and then I'll put this on top of it, and that on top of it, and then honey, and fruit, and this, and that, and nuts, like you see online. Now I'm having an 800 calorie bowl of cereal. Then, like I said before, I'll jump in the car. But on my way to the car, I'll grab something to eat in the car, or I'll already have bags of sweets in the side of the doors of my car. Then I'll stop at the drive-thru. And this is what I mean, like, to reach a higher level of body fat, it's very hard to do it just with meals. Like, it has to be a kind of continual sequence of things. And this is what it's about, like, knowing that those are the things that you have to change. It's not just oh, I need to eat more fruit and veg. You know, there are some people where that advice, yes, it's helpful to everyone. I would say everybody needs to eat more fruit and veg. But, you know, for some people, that's going to change their lives. But some people, it's going to be a drop in the ocean. And it's understanding that there are so many other areas that you need to look at. Anyway, the point of explaining this was that I did 2 check-ins with this person over 4 weeks, and they didn't lose any weight. And they were one of those people. I think they've lost about 60 pounds so far. They have just as much to go. And when you're coaching someone like that, you have to understand that, right? This person is used to consuming at a higher level. So when they have a period where they've not lost much weight, but the tracking says they should, that's when it kicks in and you think, well, they're probably slipping back to old habits that they've done before. And they did, and we'll explain it in a second. So I said to them, look, you are showing me tracking that is no different to tracking you showed me a month ago, where you were losing 3 pounds that fortnight, 3.5 pounds that fortnight. Something has changed because that same tracking, that same accuracy that you believe you had is now leading to maintenance. So we had a huge chat about accuracy. And she came back yesterday for a check-in and she was down 6 pounds. Now, before you get all excited and think that the Monroe method is amazing and people are going to be losing 6 pounds in 2 weeks, I think she lost 3 of that over 2 weeks, and I think she lost the other 3 over the 4 weeks that it didn't look like she lost anything. She just didn't get to see it. She was still in a deficit, just not a very big one. But once she tightened up her accuracy, once her calories tracked, matched the calories she was eating, remember, your body tracks calories even if you're not, the scales came down by 6 pounds yesterday. But that's the result of 6 weeks. And like I said, I reckon the last 2 weeks she's went back to her best and lost 3 pounds. And the other 3 came from the 4 weeks where she wasn't doing so great. And here's what she wasn't doing. She told me that instead of... So this is just things that she had done because, again, she was one of those people who had to talk about their fat intake, explaining it was too high. It's where a lot of their calories were coming from. And she said that she had stopped using a teaspoon to measure her olive oil and she had just been doing it freehand. And this is what I mean about how if you have a significant amount of weight to lose, you have a number of little niggly things, dozens of them, that you're performing on a daily basis. Like it's not one overwhelming, you know, you're eating a 6,000 calorie dinner and that's the problem and that's the only thing that you need to fix. You have a number of things going on. So I know what it's like to free pour olive oil, any oil, into a pan. There's that temptation to cover the entire bottom of the pan. And you're not doing that with a teaspoon. You're not doing it with a tablespoon or 4 tablespoons. You're doing it with a big old splash and hundreds of calories. The other thing she mentioned was that she was... There's a pasta and meatballs dish that she makes a couple of times a week. Instead of weighing out the cheese that she put into it, she was doing it freehand. And in her check-in yesterday, she says, I started weighing that cheese again, and the size of portion is significantly lower than what I was putting in. And these are just 2 examples. So it's understanding that your weight has come from, you did not wake up intentionally every day and say, what can I do today to make my weight go up? It's happened as a result of the way that you do things. And this is why I get people to acknowledge their food attachments, their eating habits. Beyond breakfast, lunch and dinner, tell me everything that you do with food. I eat in the car. I stop at the drive-thru. I can't have a cup of tea without having 2 biscuits. I have to eat something before I go to bed or on my way to bed. I do this, I do that. You'll have dozens of things that you do that are contributing to your weight. And it's not until you sit and write them down where you go, Jesus Christ, I eat quite a lot. As in, not eat a lot as in quantity, but I eat very frequently. I'm always eating. You know, just from that kind of picture that I painted before. Waking up, eating something, then breakfast, then taking something for the car, then stopping somewhere, then getting to the office, then going to the staff room because people bring things in. Then I have my lunch, then I do this. Like it's like a consistent stream of calories that's adding up to a number that is more than you need. And you have to be aware of them because, like I've just explained a great example. That person's been working with me for a while. We're in double digits for check-ins. I think we're into the 20s when it comes to check-ins. She's lost a significant amount of weight, but it doesn't change the fact that if she does not keep a handle on the behaviours that led to her gaining weight, like guessing how much cheese is going into something. I don't think everybody has to weigh everything for the rest of their lives, right? But I would, even me now, I would weigh the heavy stuff. I would not freehand grate cheese and throw it into a meal because there is a natural instinct to make things super cheesy because I bloody love cheese. I mean, I've got a rough idea of what like 30 and 60 grams looks like now, but it is so easy, especially if you're hungry, especially if you're excited about eating, if you're excited about a meal. It's so easy to do that little bit extra. So, yeah, it's having that awareness that the old you can take over at any time. And then it's just about having things in place where you don't do that. Like, I'm going to keep weighing my cheese. That might be the only thing that you weigh. I'm going to keep weighing cheese. Here's some stupid things that I did, right? Not stupid, but some of them are. I only butter one slice of bread. I know that sounds like a ridiculous thing, but if you're making a sandwich, instead of buttering both slices of bread and using double the butter, yes, I know butter tastes great, but it's also very high in calories. But it's just one of these niggly things. Like it's one of dozens of things that you might have to change. Butter one slice. Now you've half the butter that you're using, but you're still having it. You're still getting it. I don't keep food in the car. I don't eat in the car. One of my issues is that if I eat with distractions, I will overeat. If I don't eat at a table, I will eat very quickly. I will eat in the car. If I go to the drive-thru with the kids and they don't want to go in and they want to sit in the car, then we will sit. What I mean is I don't eat while driving. I don't eat while performing another task. I won't sit and scroll my phone. I won't watch the TV. Because you just go into brain dead mode and you shovel stuff in your mouth. You don't recognise it. You don't know when you're full. You finish the thing before you realise. 10 minutes later, you're stuffed and wish you'd stopped sooner. So these are just a few minor things that I do still because they address those subconscious habits that I might revert back to. Like if I don't sit at a table and eat, I will eat quickly. Sitting down to a dining table is my signal that it's time to slow down and take your time, enjoy your food. This is eating time now. It's not scrolling time or TV time or working time. This is the time that you eat. This is when you're going to give your body something and you're going to do it properly so that it actually satisfies you, so that you can so you can feel when you're going to be full, and then stop eating. So, yeah, your body tracks calories, even if you don't, because every calorie counts. Every calorie contributes. This wasn't what I was going to talk about, by the way. I was going to talk about people saying that calories were outdated and calorie deficit was outdated and all that stuff, but I think this has been more helpful, giving you a real-world example. I'm home now, that's why I'm talking quieter. Especially for those of you who have a significant amount of weight to lose, right? You have to start off realizing that this is not just going to be about me following a calorie number and I'm somehow going to magically lose this 7 stone just by following a calorie number and not doing anything else. You're going to have your work cut out for you, but as long as you know that from the beginning, and you're addressing it from the beginning, like you're not getting 50 pounds in and going, shit, why can't I lose any more weight? Well, it's because you didn't spend any time fixing that thing that we spoke about. But that's what this person is doing. And I love being involved in weight loss journeys like this. I've said this many times before. I love working with people for 12 to 18 months because you take them through an entire year. You take them through every step of their weight loss journey. And you help them through every roadblock. We spoke about that in another episode. If you search Clancast roadblocks, I think, explaining that, all the weight that you've gained has come from different places. Like, I don't think anybody gains weight from one thing. One day you were 10 stone and then you put 2 stone on because of a habit that you developed. And then you were 12 stone, and then you developed another habit that put another stone onto your body. Now you're 13 stone. Then you developed this other habit that added 3 stone to your body. So as you lose that weight and go backwards, you bump into each of these habits and you have to address them. That's why you get so far and can't get any farther, because you've ran into something that your calories can't overcome, and you need to take a pause and say, right, what's the problem here? Well, the problem is you're trying to lose weight without addressing your emotional eating. Your emotional eating is stopping you from getting any farther. You're going to have to work on this now. And then you work on it, and that basically unlocks the next 2 stone. And then you lose 2 stone and you get to this other bit and it says, right, what's the problem now? Well, the problem now might be that, you're drinking alcohol 4 times a week. In the past when you were this weight, something happened, you started drinking more wine, it then became a habit, and now you're doing it 4 or 5 nights a week. This is the next thing you're going to have to address, and that's going to unlock the next stone, 2 stone. So it's not all one straight line. It's not one continuous journey. This idea that people just go on a diet, lose weight, and that's it. Like, all you see is A to B. All you see is before and after picture. You don't see everything that person had to change and address. All people see is, right, how much weight did you lose? How long did it take? And what did you do? It's not as simple as that. Anyway, enough from me. Until next time.